everyone, Jenn Shurkus here, and I have two cards to share with you guys today. I'm actually using one set two different ways. So I'm going to be creating with the Lovely Layers Fall Treats. And even though this is called Fall Treats, I really think it could be used all year long. And I'm going to be working on Distress White Heavy Stock. I'm going to start by cutting out a bunch of these sweet treats out of the Distress White cardstock. And I love using the itty bitty cutter from Honeybee Stamps for die cutting like this. It just makes it so simple. Some of these pieces layer up, some of them are interchangeable, and I kind of decided my two color schemes I was going to go with, and so I die cut the pieces that I wanted to go with my fall Halloween card and my holiday, or it could even be a Valentine card, honestly. So now I am coloring with Copic markers. I decided to do this. I was tempted to use my Distress watercolor pencils again, but I feel like I've been sharing a lot of videos with you guys with those. So I thought I would do some Copic coloring here. Very simple blends, nothing over the top, nothing crazy, but I really love how the Copic markers do blend on Distress White Heavy Stock. Distress White Heavy Stock is 130-pound white, very bright white cardstock. So the reason why I chose to use this paper instead of Nina Solar White 80-pound is I wanted it to be the heavier weight. It's going to look really nice once I start to layer these pieces together. It's going to give these pieces of candy some dimension on my card. It also really takes to coloring with alcohol-based markers very beautifully. It does take a little bit longer to blend since the cardstock is so much thicker. It takes a little bit longer to saturate the cardstock and get it wet so that the two colors blend together, but the results are totally worth it, and I just love the results. Coloring this little gummy worm was so fun. I'm not gonna lie, I had to Google gummy worm to see what colors they come in, but he was a lot of fun. So I'm just kind of sticking with some Halloween color schemes for one of my cards and some pinky reds for my other card. I was just kind of thinking of the upcoming seasons coming here. We've got Halloween and then we have the holidays. And I just thought it would be fun to create these friendship cards to pop in the mail. I think even if we're not dressing up and trick-or-treating, it's still really fun to get a Halloween card in the mail. And these cards are perfect for that. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love candy. I love gummy candies, hard candies. They're definitely a weakness of mine, and I always have some sort of candy going on my studio table. I will, however, tell you I am not a fan of candy corn. So let me know in the comments if you are for candy corn or against it. I love coloring candy corn. I think it's adorable on a card, but I do not like the smell or the taste of it. And I know some people passionately love it and some people passionately hate it. As always, over on my website, I always have a coordinating blog post when I have a video, and I always share the Copic swatch list of the markers that I use. Even if I don't have a video to share with you, whenever I do a blog post with Copic coloring, I share a swatch list. This way, if you are wanting to match up some different markers, a different coloring medium, or finding maybe similar Copic markers in your stash, you'll have that swatch list to refer to. So now I'm starting to color up those candies for the holiday card. And these are a fun color scheme. I really love a warm red. So I'm using R35 as my main red color. You can actually see here my R35 needs a little bit of re-inking. So I re-inked off camera and there we go. Much juicier coloring, much better. So I'm using that R29, R35 combo for the reds. And then I'm also going to bring in some pinks, some RV21 and RV10. I am coloring directly on my table surface. My table is made out of glass. So all those marker marks that you see on my table, I just clean up with isopropyl alcohol and my flour sackcloth. So in between different color schemes, I just clean off my surface so that the previous color won't transfer on to what I am coloring currently. I always like to color the full background layer of these lovely layer elements. You're going to kind of see the edges a bit, and I just like to make sure no white is going to show. There is that Copic swatch list again, and remember, if you want to save that image, it is over on my website. My blog post is linked in the comments, and I think that those swatch lists are really great to save either to your computer or print them out and put them in a resource binder. And so I always make sure that I share those whenever I do any Copic marker coloring. So now I decided I wanted to add a little bit of white gel pen detail to some of these candies and kind of switch them up a bit. So I did polka dots on one, and I'm doing diagonal stripes on the long candy. And now the fun part, we're going to start to put everything together, just using a wet adhesive to layer the candies together. This is always so satisfying after all the work of die cutting and coloring. I like to use a wet adhesive. That way, it has a little bit of wiggle time, and I can make sure I have everything lined up the way it's supposed to be. I have to say, these lovely layer dies from Honeybee Stamps layer up so easily, and everything comes together so effortlessly. It's really not a struggle, but having that wet adhesive is just a good idea so you can give it a little wiggle and make sure everything is nice and straight. You can see I decided to add that white gel pen diagonal lines to the long candy for my Halloween card. And now we are just continuing to layer all of these together. Next up, I'm using the Barnwood Planks die, and I die cut some gray cardstock and some white cardstock. On the white cardstock, I'm just dusting the edges with a little bit of spun sugar distress ink using a blending brush. And of course, I'm using my ink stand to hold my ink pad in place so I won't get inky fingers and it's not dancing all around my tabletop. And then on the gray cardstock, I'm using just a little bit of wilted violet, just to give a hint of purple. Now I'm using a Tombow dot runner to add my barnwood planks to my card front. This is a great adhesive to use, so if something starts to not line up properly, I can gently peel it up and put it back down again. It is repositionable for a short amount of time and then it becomes permanent. Now I'm starting to add all my sweet treats to the card front. And spoiler alert, what I do is I actually lay everything in place without adhesive. I take a photo of the card once I've figured out where I want all the candies to be. And I'm actually referencing that photo right now as I'm placing these candies down for the most part, as you can see me figuring out a little bit of placement. So that's something that I do often is I'll lay things down without adhesive and then snap a picture and then refer to that photo as I want to go and add adhesive and place things down permanently. Almost all of the pieces I added down with wet adhesive, and then I did pop up a couple of the candies just to give some dimension. I'm using the Heartfelt Hello sentiment set. I absolutely love this sentiment set, and I've used it in several videos already. And I'm stamping Enjoy the Little Things. And then I'm using the Mini Messages Sweets sentiment set. And I stamped out Because Adulting is Hard. I don't know about you guys, but there are just some days that I'm like, why do we all want to be adults? Can we all please be kids again? And I thought this was a fun sentiment to add to these candies because we often think of children with candy. So it's kind of like adulting's hard, enjoy some candy. Whoever I send these cards to, maybe I'll send some sweet treats along with the card. I just thought it was a fun sentiment combo together. So enjoy the little things because adulting is so hard. I'm using 3L foam strips to add my sentiments down. I love these foam strips. They make things so easy. And now I'm using Distress Collage Medium to add some Distress Rock Candy glitter to some of the bits of candies. So on the peppermints, I am adding it to the white bits. And on that gummy worm, I'm adding some Distress Collage Medium to the shadowed areas where I will also put some Distress Collage Medium. I like to be generous and pour a lot of Distress Collage Medium, let it sit a minute, and then tap it off. I don't want to press it or anything like that, but I like to kind of pour it on generously and let it set a minute and then pour it back into the container. Now I'm adding a little bit of glossy accents to those candy corns. I love using the baby bottle of glossy accents. I think it bubbles less and it just is easier to maneuver. And now I'm very carefully going to add some Harvest Pearl stickers to these cards. Since they're both still very wet, the glossy accents and the Distress Collage Medium is going to take at least a half hour to dry. But I thought that these pearls were a perfect color scheme and they kind of added to the candy theme. They look kind of like button candies. And I thought they added some extra dimension and embellishment to the cards. So there we go, you guys. We've got two cards with one set, the Lovely Layers Fall Treats set from Honeybee Stamps. I hope that this inspires you with those lovely layer sets to get out your markers and add color to them that way. As always, I have more details over on my website and some more photographs, as well as those Copic swatch lists. And I hope you guys all have a sweet day. Bye, guys.